in a full screen version.
Like this? Okay.
Yeah, precise.
This presentation is about Hull QuickScan method in Indonesia, and I will deliver it also on behalf of Jacqueline Rosbergen, my colleague at the agency, because we work closely together in this project. So the Hull QuickScan method is developed by the Cultural Heritage Agency of the Netherlands and Heritage Hands-On, which is owned by Hasti Tarakat. And it is developed in collaboration with the University of Indonesia, Trisakti University, and IBP University in Bogor. And it's inspired by the Hull approach. We've done 2 pilots so far in Muntok and Banjarmasin, as Punter already mentioned. And on the right, you can see some pictures of how it looked like. I will start with a short introduction about the Cultural Heritage Agency, then move over to the Hull approach, Hull QuickScan method. A few examples only to give an expression of the workshops in Muntok and Banjarmasin, and then tell you more about the follow-up ideas we have. So the Cultural Heritage Agency is an executive body of the Ministry of Culture, Education, Culture and Science in the Netherlands. And our ministry is located in The Hague, and our agency is located in Amersfoort. And I don't think many people know Amersfoort, but it's actually quite nice, beautiful historical town with an impressive historic urban landscape. And our agency focuses on knowledge, policy, legislation, subsidies, and practical advice. And we're housed in a modern building designed by a Spanish architect. You can see a picture on the right, who won a design competition, I think almost 12 years ago. And our tasks go beyond merely preserving and protecting buildings, but we also want to give cultural heritage a place within spatial development plans and projects. And doing so ensures that we can give the future a recognizable past. And we also have a shared cultural heritage program. That's part of the Netherlands International Cultural Policy. We collaborate with several countries in the world, such as Sri Lanka, Japan, United States of America, South Africa, Australia, and also, of course, with Indonesia. And we focus on training, tools, and advice. And inner cities are a priority focus of this program. That's partly because we have a long history of area-based heritage management in the Netherlands. In the 1970s and the 1990s, in that period, we had a rehabilitation program of protected townscapes. And this is also the period when integrated conservation emerged. In the 1990s, we had a policy in heritage as a source of inspiration, not only for those conservation areas of protected townscapes, but also for the entire country. And since 2010, heritage is officially part of spatial planning laws and spatial plans in general. And we consider heritage as a factor for sustainable area development. And that's partly similar with the Hull approach, which is a recommendation from UNESCO from 2011, which is to be seen as additional to traditional heritage conservation. And its focus or its aim is on integrating urban planning policies, integrating heritage in urban planning policies and management of World Heritage cities, but also applicable on other cities, of course. And on the right, you can see a brochure of the Hull approach, which is also available in Bahasa. So this Hull approach doesn't see heritage only as elements from the past, but it should be seen as elements with significance to today's society and assets for future development. And that's also because cities change and will always change. We can't say we have to freeze it in time. It's not a museum, it's more or less an ecosystem. So living landscapes, management of change, those are important goals we have to think about. A fixed template does not exist, however. It's about co-creation, participation, creating dynamics and a way of thinking, and above all, acting. So to summarize, the historic urban landscape approach moves beyond preservation of the physical environment. It focuses on the entire human environment, tangible and intangible. So it's holistic. It seeks to increase sustainability of planning and design interventions by taking into account the built environment, intangible heritage, cultural diversity, socio-economic and environmental factors, along with local community values. So it's integrated. And the Hull approach considers urban heritage as a social, cultural, and economic asset for the development of cities. This is an infographic of the historic urban landscape approach in action. You can find it in the brochure you can download from the internet. And you can learn more about the historic urban landscape approach and the tools they've developed. So the historic urban landscape approach is an approach, and it consists of several tools, but it's not a tool in itself, it's a way of thinking. The Hull QuickScan is a tool. It doesn't replace the Hull approach, because the Hull approach is much more comprehensive. Nevertheless, the Hull QuickScan method helps in understanding urban landscapes in a short period of time. It helps in formulating a vision and principles for future development based on tangible and intangible urban heritage features. And it also helps in generating ideas and proposals and building blocks for implementation of the Hull approach. We've applied this method twice so far, in Moontalk 2018 and Banjarmasin 2019. Why these cities? Well, they requested us, but also Moontalk is an historical tin mining settlement, quite fascinating. And since it lost its role as center of tin mining, Moontalk is looking for a new future. And Banjarmasin is well known for its rivers and its riverside settlements, making it an impressive urban landscape. But the river culture of Banjarmasin is losing ground to modern development. This is the method we developed step by step, and we conducted during the workshops. And step one is an analysis of the historical environment, past, present, layout, historical development, topology, and also looking at narratives. Intangible heritage is a narrative, but also social, cultural, and economic issues that could play a role. Step two is determination of a vision, and step three is principles for development. So the vision is based on step one. The outcomes of step one gives you the possibility to create a vision, and the vision is elaborated in principles for development, which are starting points for ideas and proposals to develop in step four. And step four is formulating future perspectives. So a few examples. The step one, analysis of the historical environment, is done by inventory, typology, interpretation, historical identification, and environmental scanning, but also interviewing people, because they are probably the best experts in their own city and know a lot about the history and its heritage. Step one is also about urban evolution and typology of buildings, as you can see on this slide about Banjarmasin. And well, on the bottom you can see several houses. Banjarmasin has floating houses, stilt houses, and they're all situated alongside or on the river. This is an example from Moontalk, from step one. Moontalk has several historic districts. And it's interesting to know that each district has its own character and features and traditions. So that's very important for understanding an historic urban landscape. It's not only about physical features, but also sense of place. And I really like this one. The participants of the workshop in Moontalk also said to us, well, if you go to a kampong, it's not only buildings, vernacular architecture, but there are also a lot of sounds of nature, which is closely related to the Green Park atmosphere. And cultural traditions are also important to analyze, of course. This is the process of Sasiranggang in Banjarmasin. And as you can see, the 0.5 soaking in cold water and adding chlorine and coloring is also quite polluting because wastewater is thrown into the river. So the end of step one, it's possible to formulate challenges and opportunities. And these examples in Moontalk show one of the challenges is neglected vacant buildings. But also the river is a challenge because pollution, tin mining waste also occurs. Swallow bird nesting and the big buildings that are built in the historic urban landscape are challenges. But the river is also an opportunity because it has quality potentially. And another opportunity is that Moontalk has a young creative community. These are to only name a few. Step two is the vision. What do you want to achieve for an area? Here in Banjarmasin, it was assessed that accessibility of land or river infrastructure is not really connecting to each other. So improve the connection is one of the visions. And the visions could be really short and direct. It's just only a few words. Step three, in order to realize the vision, formulating starting points for proposals. As you can see in Banjarmasin connectivity between land and infrastructure. Well, if you look at principles, you can develop a pedestrian way alongside the river. You have to adapt the height of the bridges, the construction, so boats could go underneath the bridge. And there's also a need for drop-off points for land transportation to river transportation. The final step, step four, and I will only give a few examples to give an expression, is to formulate future perspectives. So based on the previous steps, you can give some ideas and proposals on the future of the city, which is also inspired by its heritage and urban landscape. So for Moontalk, restoring adaptive reuse is very important, but also restoring the river as part of the city and improving environmental conditions. As you can see on this picture, in essence, it's also a goal to giving back the river to the city. Adaptive reuse in Moontalk, it's not only about museums, but you can also look for functions related to the character and the resources of a specific district. These are bird nesting buildings in Moontalk, which are radically changing the urban landscape. And what if they are here to stay? What are you going to do with those aliens in the urban surrounding because they do not fit the character? You can look at several options, but the participants of the workshop said, well, maybe we can make them green and reduce the urban heat island effects. This beautiful kampong in Banjarmasin, well, the participants for this kampong said that it has such rich architecture. We should focus on restoration and community-based heritage tourism, and infrastructure of land and river has to be combined. In Banjarmasin, in Kampung Kalayan, recently an apartment building was built, which is also more or less an alien to its surroundings. It doesn't fit the character of riverside settlements. So the group from this kampong, from the workshop, developed a proposal to integrate the building by landscaping, but also adding new types of riverside settlement houses that fit the character of the area, but also meet modern demands. This is quite nice. This is the Pasar Lama in Banjarmasin, and the group involved with this kampong developed a public awareness and water waste management strategy in order to revive the old market. And for Sasiranggang in Banjarmasin, the group involved with this kampong proposed to develop a workshop center, including a washing area with aqua biofilter, to reduce pollution as part of the production process of Sasiranggang. So these are just a few examples to give an expression. If you want to learn more about them, you can read these workshop reports. New Horizons for an old tin mining town is about Muntok, and safeguarding and rejuvenating the identity of a river city is focusing on Banjarmasin. So what about a follow-up? We plan to organize a workshop, a quick scan for university lecturers with our partners in Indonesia. Well, it's not certain yet if we're going to do that this year or next year, but we already agreed on that we could develop a handbook or a manual. We also have to evaluate the whole quick scan method. Because it's not perfect. It's in its infancy. We have only done 2 experiments, and I think more experiments are needed. Nevertheless, most important lesson so far, we could say the method organizations who made the workshops possible. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Peter.